Bethany Warren here. Welcome back to season 23 to 24 of our Millwall Fan Show with new panellists, but the same focus, just everything Millwall. Enjoy!
Welcome to the 2023-24 series of Millwall's No One Likes Us Talking's, our Millwall Fan Show. I'm your host, Myles Thornton, and with me I have the No One Likes Us Talking team of Jeff Burnige, Dave Hart and Stan Godwin.
Not everybody likes them, but they don't care.
Another great win for Millwall on Saturday. Goals from Michael Obafemi, the skipper, Jake Cooper, and Duncan Watmore saw out a spectacular 3-1 win against a top-half Cardiff City. Stan, I'll start with you. What did you think of it?
Well, the actual game I thought was a very good game. I had said before the game that when we played our previous game, the way that we played that game, we upped the pace and we hassled them and whatever. We had to go, in my opinion, to get out of relegation trouble. We've got to put in that performance every week, right, until we're at least safe, right? And I said that before, well before the game. I said it last week, actually, on last week's show. Now, when we got out there on Saturday, in the first half, I didn't think that we was playing to the same level that we had done in the previous week. In the second half, right, although Michael Obafemi scored, and, it was a good goal, and I've always rated him as a player. I rated him when I've seen him playing against us for Swansea, right? But then when the second half come, because we went in, we 1-0, I think it was. And then when they come out in the second half, we did step it up. And in my opinion, there was only one team that from that moment on was going to win the game. And we did. And that's fine. I've got no problem with that. And if we carry on playing like that this week, we've got Sunderland, right? So we've got to be up for that. But if we carry on playing like that, I don't think we're going to have a lot to worry about myself.
Well, yeah, Dave, did you see that sort of result coming?
Well, when I go to see Millwall play, I do go to see a win. And I thought there was more than a good chance of a win on Saturday. And this was proved. We went 1-0 up quite early. And what seemed to me to be a bit of a sloppy goal for the equaliser happened. But their heads didn't go down. They went up the other end, and Jake Cooper scored, to me, what was a lovely goal. We went in front in the second half, and from then on, the second half, we didn't look back, and that proved itself by finishing 3-1. Yeah.
Jeff, obviously, since Neil Harris has come back, there's been 17 points in 10 games that he's been here. That backs up the statement perfectly, doesn't it? That he's done exceptionally well.
I think if you multiply 17 points from 10 games over a season, you're in the playoffs, aren't you? What does it equate to? 77, 78 points, something like that. So Neil's done exceptionally well. I was really glad that he agreed to come back. I did feel when he left before that he was pretty fed up by some of the comments he was getting away from home. And it took something for him to come back, I think, and face that again. And sure enough, he has faced it again. But as for the game against Cardiff, their goal was from a free kick, a header which I felt the keeper might have saved. It was an awkward bounce, I think, in front of him. But our goals were extreme quality. 3 goals of great quality. So anyone who says that we haven't got technically good players, they're talking a load of rubbish, in my opinion. So the only thing you'd have to say is that at this time of the season, if you can play against teams that are in the middle of the table, you're likely to be able to have more desire than they've got. And Millwall teams under Neil Harris do play with a lot of desire, probably more than almost any other team in that division, I would say. Even when they're not playing well, they play with desire, and that was the story, I think, of that game, and we'll come on to it later, but it was also the story about the game on Wednesday night in the PDL Under-18 Cup.
Yeah. We'll come on to that a little bit later, but before we do, we'll take a break there and hear about our sponsors, Gino Motors.
Hi, this is Jess Tuffield from G&M Motors. Operating from a modern and purpose-built facility in Milton Road, Gravesend, G&M Motors offers a complete range of new Honda cars and services. As well as new Hondas, we have an extensive range of used cars, including ex-Motability cars from a variety of manufacturers. Specialising in new Honda cars, G&M Motors has been retailing quality new and used vehicles to the people of Kent and South East London for over 4 decades. We have been a Honda dealership since 1972 and are the country's longest serving supplier of this renowned mark. Conveniently sited just 2 miles from the A2, 10 miles from the M25 and Dartford Crossing, visitors to our showroom are assured a warm welcome from our experienced and friendly staff. Our facilities include an on-site workshop capable of providing full vehicle servicing and repairs, as well as an extensive parts department offering genuine Honda parts and accessories. The expertise of our skilled mechanics is not limited to just Hondas, but extends to most makes and models of motor vehicles. Whatever your motoring needs, visit us at G&M Motors today. The newly extended hours of our G&M headquarters means that you can contact us from 8 a.m. till 6 p.m. on weekdays and 9 a.m. till 6 p.m. on Saturdays. To contact us, call us today on 01474 365 026.
Thank you, Jess. Debbie Julian's here. Don't forget to call Jess on 01474 365 026. G&M Motors have been dear friends of the Julians family for over 4 decades now. From my dad Lenny to me, Debbie, Lions together.
I'm your host, Myles Thornton, and with me I have the NOLUT talking team of Jeff Burnige, Dave Hart and Stan Godwin. Many thanks to our sponsors, G&M Motors. Get down there and check them out. Our first guest of the show is a great friend of the show, and he is well remembered by the fan base, despite many never having seen him play, other than on YouTube. When in London, he regularly attends the Den and occasionally Coventry City. He made 339 appearances for Millwall over an 8-season period. He never scored a goal. Behind him is David Ford. He joined us from Chelmsford for a meagre sum and left us for almost 30 times what we paid for him. Well known for his humour, but also for his compassion, we're delighted to welcome the man who gained an England cap, Bryan King.
Ford is further back, 299, I'm 302. I'm just proud I've still got the record. I mean, it's an honour for me to have been the goalkeeper who's made the most appearances in the history of Millwall Football Club.
Welcome, Bryan.
Good evening.
Good evening, Bryan.
Happy birthday, Bryan.
Bryan, just a quick one before we get the show underway. Debbie Julian sent you a personalised message.
Hi, Bryan. Debbie Julian's here, wishing you a very, very happy birthday, celebrating style to one of our Lion legends. Must catch up soon. Lots of love, Debbie.
Well, thank you very much. Yeah, 77 a day. Not bad.
Yeah.
Still going strong.
Yeah, well, so before I pass you over to the team, Bryan, very many happy returns, 77. Some memories over that period of time. We all hope you have a very good day.
I'm struggling on, as I say. It's no fun getting old, but it's always fun coming to London. It's always fun coming down to the Den.
Now, for that memory, we had Derek Smethurst on, and he paid you a great tribute along with the 71-72 squad, but he did talk about your madness as a goalkeeper going into the fray head first. We don't see that today. How did you come to play that way? Is it, and it's not the way today, obviously.
Well, you wake up and, as they say in my day, you're either brave or you're not. And I just used to enjoy diving at people's feet at a very young age, funnily enough. Must have been something wrong there, something in Stansted. But I've always been, or people have always said that you were mad kingy or you took chances head first, etc., etc. But I learned from the king of diving at people's feet, and that was Laurie Leslie. I mean, you talk about Bob Wilson being brave, but Laurie was really brave, and you can't teach it. You've either got it or you ain't. And that was all part of my game. I just enjoyed one-on-one or attacking the ball when the ball was on the floor and feet were flying around. As Kitch used to jump where the heads were flying, I would jump where the feet or dive where the feet were flying. But I've managed to survive. I mean, today when you watch goalkeepers, there are very few that actually come out head first. I'm afraid it's. It seems to be the protection around goalkeepers today is unbelievable, and I don't want to keep harping on about how brave we were or whatever, but it was just part and parcel of the game, and most goalkeepers were like me. They weren't afraid to dive at people's feet. And sometimes you got hurt, and I got hurt a couple of times and missed some teeth and had a couple of broken noses. But as dear old Benny used to say, the game goes on and so do you.
I heard Kingy saying that not many keepers come out today in the way that he did, diving at the boots and people's feet. But he mentioned Laurie Leslie, incredibly brave goalkeeper. I remember that. I remember Kingy being like it. I wouldn't like to go beyond this without saying that Brian Horn, who wasn't a tall goalkeeper, but there was a very brave goalkeeper there. Perhaps that should be acknowledged. But having said that, Kingy, where have all the years gone? So many of that team are no longer with us, very sadly. We've all mentioned previously the likes of Kitch, Harry Cripps, T.C. Weller, but there's also John Gilchrist, South Wood, and many others, and most recently Brian Brown. Anyone that's listening to this podcast that has not bought and read your book, The Lion King, they're missing something. It is one of the best books I've ever read, and it's got loads of stories. Even so, I've spoken to you, Kingy, many times, and there's many stories we didn't find room for. And it's over 300 pages. Well worth buying. The Lion King, Bryan King.
Well, thank you for that, Jeff. Thank you very much. The cheque is in the post, by the way. So we can move on.
I'm trying to shift a couple of my spare copies.
Well, I'm glad you bought them. Listen, they'll be worth a few quid when I've gone.
Well, so just take one, for example. Take Brian Brown, who you were very close to back in the day and made contact with only with his family after hearing the sad news. What do you remember about Brownie that you'd like to share with us?
I was very close to Brownie, and I was his best man, and he was my best man at our respective weddings. At the start, when he first came in '68, he was my chauffeur, really. He used to pick me up at Liverpool Street, or normally I'd go to New Cross Gate or New Cross, and he'd be waiting outside there. And invariably, he was used a lot because we used to do pre-season up at Peak Friends along the A2 there. He had a Triumph Spitfire. We stopped one day and removed the hardtop. The trouble is, we drove off and forgot we'd left the hardtop on the pavement. And of course, there was no one-way systems then, but we had to make a detour back to try and find it. And luckily, there were a couple of blokes who saw us. And how many times you stop and the bloke says, "Is this your car, mate?" And Brownie said, "Funny enough, it is." He said, "We only went to get some screws to put it back on." And well, they were very apologetic, as they were going to keep it for us, or so they said. They were going to save it for us. No idea whether they knew who we were. We certainly didn't know who they were. But Brownie says we better put it on and hold it. And we drove out to Sidcup, and luckily the hood stayed on, and my fingers were in place because I was the one holding it. Good lad, Brownie. Good lad. Good player. Underrated.
Hello, Brian. It's Dave here.
Hello, Dave.
I know Jeff just keeps singing praises of your book. I've read it myself. Absolutely great, especially one part where you mention that in one game, I can't remember the actual game, but you were being bullied by a senior striker, and you probably know the story where how that situation got sorted out. But going back to what I want to ask you about, Alan Dunn last week had his thoughts on what makes a Millwall player. What do you think it takes to make a player a Millwall player?
Courage. When you're thrown into the first team, you can play in the reserves fine. It's a nice path into the senior team or the first team. But when you make your first appearance, you then realise exactly what the atmosphere and the feeling is as I played at the Old Den. I mean, it was incredible. I'd never experienced anything like that. I've been playing in the Southern League for Chelmsford City, playing in half-decent crowds, but when you go out and play in front of 18 or 20,000 at the Old Den, it's make or break time. And they can sort you out very quickly. If they think you're going to try and give 100%, they're with you. If you make mistakes, as I did at the start, because I was going to have to take over from two great goalkeepers. I mean, Alex Stepney and then Laurie Leslie. And then there's Bryan King, who comes from Chelmsford, non-league, cost £5,000. The pressure's on me. But I knew the manager had bought me and he had the belief in me. I got on well with the lads early doors. They also encouraged me and helped me. Pre-season training. I've never done pre-season training before. I thought I was going to die. I thought I was never going to walk again properly. Greenwich Park's still in my brain. And every time I go there, either for a visit to the Royal Naval College or walk through the park, I cry my eyes out nearly because the pain was unbelievable, by the way. But all those things help strengthen you. And they certainly strengthened me. I had a surprise call-up for the League Cup against Northampton, which we won well. We won 5-1. I was then called in the following week because Laurie then got injured, which in one way was lucky for me because being so brave, he always got into situations where he ended up, he'd have a little run of 3 or 4 games, then he'd get injured. Then I got called in one night for the Blackpool game. Blackpool were top of the league, big side then, big players, and the atmosphere was unbelievable. I probably could have done better for the goal, although it was deflected off of Harry. I reacted to that deflection. A little bit slow getting up maybe for the second one, and Alan Ingram scored. It was a centre forward for Blackpool. We drew 1 each, but it was a wonderful night. I mean, the atmosphere was fantastic, absolutely fantastic, and I thought I'd done okay. I then had a little bit of a spell where I had an injury. And I got called in the first team a couple of times, and very awkward to run and move and kick. And I got caught out a couple of times. And, of course, the crowd had a little dig at me. But that's the time where you've really, if you're playing for Millwall Football Club, that's when you've got to either stand up or it's time to go. You know, if I hadn't have stood up, I'd have been back at Chelmsford City. Simple as that. Or certainly somewhere else. But I had a very good run. And not only the club, the players, the manager, but the supporters started to believe in me. And the supporters made me. They made me because of their encouragement. And as I say, I go back now, 40-odd years, 50 years ago, and people still talk to me and say that I was a half-decent goalkeeper, a good goalkeeper. I mean, I'm so humbled. I mean, it's incredible. And once you win a Millwall supporter over, is your friend for life as far as I'm concerned, because I'm their friends for life.
Yeah, thanks for being that goalkeeper, Brian. I certainly enjoyed watching you play.
Brian, it's Stan here, mate. I was just reading your book because when you was talking about your book, there's a particular entry on it on page 50 where, well, you mentioned in 1967 London was the global HQ of the swinging 60s and all that sort of thing, which was all true. I'm not disputing any of that. But then you then go on perfectly to describe the actual area in and around Coldblow Lane, right? And if there was ever if there's ever been a more accurate description in your one, I've yet to see it in my experience. So, I mean, when I read that, I sat and thought about it at the time when I first read the book, and I thought, stuck with me ever since, because that time I was round there and, and all that. So that was that. So that's that thing. Now, the question is, when you attended Dockers Day this year, can you tell us your experiences and what it was like to meet the players from the past and the fans?
Well, it was fantastic. I was just sorry that there weren't more of the living players that played in the 71-72 team, but obviously we realised I live in Norway, Derek Smethurst in Florida, Derek Poss in Canada. Barry Bridges is up in Norfolk, Gordon Bollins in Boston, and maybe it's a bit difficult for them, but nothing would have stopped me coming to that. That's the first Dockers Day I've been able to come and attend to. And as it was celebrating our year as a team, I mean, I saw people there who were young players at the time. Bob Pittaway, Mickey Kelly. I mean, I didn't recognise them initially, but as soon as the names were popped forward, they recognised me, but I didn't recognise them. But it was so great seeing them again. Little Tommy Sampson, who's had a bad time recently. Lovely boy. And, I mean, I as I said to him, I just wish you well, and I hope everything goes in the latter part of your life well. To see Dougie Alder, Stevie Brown, Alan Dorney, you know, Georgie Jacks, Billy Neal, great people, great Millwall people. George went through all the leagues with Millwall. Billy is Mr. Millwall. I mean, I've got a story in the book about Billy when we were on pre-season tour of Scotland. I mean, I was meant to play against Dundee, and we thought we'd have a laugh and a joke down in the local pub in Dunblane. And we tried to reenact a pub fight scene. And Billy said, "Look, I'll make out I'm going to hit you. I'll just punch my hand and you go down as I've hit you, and then we'll just see what the reaction is." The trouble is with Billy, he missed his hand and he had a gold sovereign ring on his finger. And he hit me straight above the eye. He opened me up like a letter. And there was more blood flying about than you could ever imagine. And, well, I didn't make my debut as I should have done. Instead of Dundee, I played against Wraith Rovers. All those kind of things were people like, for Billy, who'd lived in that area for a long time. For me, it was an amazing eye-opener. I mean, I come from Stansted, in the country of, you know, in Essex, and I played for Chelmsford. I was told to come to Millwall by two old pros. One was Peter Shreves, who went on to manage Spurs, and the other one who was playing for Millwall was Ken Jones. And both of them said to me, you know, listen, you've got a chance to go to Tottenham, forget it. They got a young keeper. You'll be the record holder of football combination games if you go there, because the boy's name's Pat Jennings. And rightly so. They said, Millwall's the place for you. You'll get a chance, betcha. And sure enough, I did. And luckily for me, I had the willpower to stick it out, because there was one stage there where I played in a reserve game and I picked the ball up and everybody cheered. I thought, Jesus Christ, this is going to be a tough baptism here. But you know, you just got to knuckle down. And as I found out, that once you win them over, once you win them supporters over, you realise that the area, you know, I'm from a working class family. I realised the people that watch Millwall were invariably from working class families. But you knew they were honest. And if you play the game honest and you give them 100%, you know you're going to become one of them. That is for sure, Stan.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree with that at all, mate. Absolutely spot on. But as I said, when I saw that paragraph, and as I said, I read it and I thought, and you described the area to a T. If there's a better description of that area, I've never seen it. I tell you. So at the moment, you're number one at the top of the pops, mate. Don't be any doubt about that.
Well, thanks very much, Stan, for that. But that's just as I saw it. I mean,
yeah, no, you're spot on. Absolutely.
I mean, I can remember the drive to this day down the Old Mile End Road, left at the Underground, down through Burdett Road, Commercial Road, Rotherhithe Tunnel. Out through there, Surrey Docks, Deptford Park, through the tunnels or the bridges, and we used to park in a scrap metal yard.
Yeah,
which was.
And I remember in that book when you said that you was on the platform with Bobby Hunt going back to Liverpool Street, and the driver of his cab with the driver, you and Bobby Hunt. Now, when he turned around and I tell you what, because when I read that and I see the phrase, "Are you going to give him the handle?" Right, I know because I was a driver on the Underground, and that's what we used to say. I mean, I didn't work on the East London line; I worked on the Northern line. But that was also when somebody says, "Oh well, you know, you give him the handle," you then know that I know then that's a genuine You know what I mean? Because that's the thing that people would say. No, I mean that's what would happen.
Well, Stan, it was genuine, Stan, when we went through Station. We went through Wapping Station and never stopped.
Yeah, no, yeah, and the trouble, you worked on a line then when you could get away with that sort of thing. But anyway, all right, that's another story for another day.
One question I know that we would like to ask you is how do you feel the managerial changes have worked out this season? Firstly, your impressions of the job that Gary Rowett had done, the appointment of Joe Edwards, and then subsequently the appointment of the returning Chopper.
Well, I think it was a surprise when Gary Rowett resigned. You know, I know a lot of people criticise him, but he kept Millwall safe, as we say. He kept them safe. He gave the next manager who took over a half-decent programme, maybe not the best team in the league, but there was a team there to survive in the Championship for sure. We were then given a young manager with the hype manager of England under 20s, and I think it was you, Jeff, who informed me that in his time as manager of the England under 20s, they never actually played a game. But it's a very difficult age group, the under 20s. I got information about him from my friends at Everton. It wasn't good. It wasn't good. I think it was a hasty appointment. I think it was a foolish appointment. I tell you now, he might just as well have got me and you, Jeff, because I think we'd have understood the situation far better than Edwards did. I was never happy with him. He didn't look Millwall. He didn't act Millwall. And at the end of the day, I saw a week in the life of Joe Edwards. I mean, I was a guest at Coventry for the defeat there. We then watched the Ipswich game and then the Sheffield Wednesday game. And it just couldn't go on. I mean, thank God the board saw sense and ended his tenure, because if it had still been there, I'm afraid we'd have been in a serious position. But I believe members of the staff said that there is a guy available, and that guy's Neil Harris. And Neil was in a job at Cambridge United, and obviously he'd had a clause or something in his contract where he could leave if something that he fancied he could that was an improvement on where he was. And for him, Millwall was an improvement. And thank God he said yes to the job. You spoke earlier, I did hear you, Jeff, saying that you have to understand the Millwall way. And when you have a legend who understands the Millwall way, like Neil Harris is, and he is a legend, and the biggest thing that we needed at that time was motivating the players to believe that they could still play in the Championship, because we were in dire trouble there. He took over, great start, first 4 games, 3 wins and a draw, then a defeat. Then he had a little bit of an hiccup with a couple of games. Couldn't believe losing both games up north there against Rotherham and Huddersfield, but he's come back strong. And I mean, this 6 points this week has really rejuvenated the fans. It's rejuvenated the club. It's rejuvenated the players. It's rejuvenated me to believe that we're going to be okay. We'll survive this league. I know it's tough, and nothing's written in stone. But with Neil Harris at the helm, and he's shown how he can bring the best out of players who a lot of people were saying weren't good enough. But I think they proved in the 2 games. I mean, Jeff, you were referring to 3 goals at Cardiff and of course the one against Leicester. I mean, 4 goals, you probably wouldn't see any better goals in any league in the country, and certainly in Europe. I mean, the goals were tremendous. So I have a great belief in Neil. He's a Millwall man. You can see that in the way he played. You don't become a legend at Millwall for being a 2-bob player, that's for sure. And Neil certainly wasn't that, and he's proved that he's beginning to turn this football club the way that we want it, and we want to see the football played the best that's available. He's got players. I believe he had somebody quoted to me that he wants players who are going to run through a brick wall for him. Listen, that's Neil Harris. If he's got them players out on that pitch, then frighten them, do whatever you've got to do, but make sure they give 100% and make sure the supporters realise they're giving 100%, because if they don't, then they've got nothing to do at Millwall.
Long may it continue, Brian. You must watch keepers today as much as you did in the past. What are the sort of qualities that you see would be the most desirable in a keeper in the Championship nowadays?
Shot stopper, because half of them can't come off the line. Half of them can't come off the line and catch a cross. They're frightened to death. They let defenders get too deep. The starting positions are poor. And how many goalkeepers do you see catch crosses cleanly today? I mean, I watched England's number 1 last Monday against Chelsea. England's number 1. I mean, he wouldn't have got a sniff in my day. There were 10 goalkeepers that were better than he'll ever be. And that's not just because of the pace of the game or the lightness of the ball or whatever. I mean, a goalkeeper's so protected today, he can take chances, but they're not prepared to take chances. They put the onus on a big centre-half or 2 centre-halves. He stands on his line. If I'd have had my socks like Pickford's got his socks when he plays, Benny would never let me go out the door. I mean, socks had to be pulled up properly, shorts had to be right, jumpers had to be right. I mean, today, I think the biggest difference for goalkeepers today is how many tattoos can they have? Is it a contest? I didn't need a tattoo to be hard. I didn't need a tattoo to be brave. But some of these blokes, I'll tell you what, I've seen some poor goalkeepers in today who are earning more money than I ever dreamt of. And it really hurts me when I see a goalkeeper go down and get a kick in the stomach or the ribs and he ends up holding his head and laying there as though he's been shot. I mean, nothing annoys me more. Nothing annoys me more.
Yeah, yes, Brian. Another thing I would say about goalkeepers nowadays, they don't seem to catch a ball. It's all to punch it out all the time.
That's what I said. It's the way they're coached.
Yeah.
The way they're, we've got specialised coaches. Have you seen some of the staff that some of these clubs have got? I mean, they have a second bus. The Premier League clubs have 2 buses now, not 1. I mean, they have 1 bus for staff and equipment. And that usually follows the first team bus in. I mean, it's frightening. I mean, you don't tell me that professional footballers today earning £100,000 a week do not know how to stretch out and warm up themselves.
I mean, Sally, can I just say this, Brian? You talk about goalkeepers, and I don't know whether you're aware of this, but you know the guy that who the goalkeeper who plays for Man United. He come over from Serie A last season, right? He was I think he was in the Inter Milan goalkeeper, I think. But anyway,
dives at everything, Stan. Every shot is made look 10 times harder than it is.
Yeah. Well, I tell you so. I don't know now. At the time when the Man United manager was talking about he wanting a new goalkeeper because they was letting the other guy go, one of the reporters said to him, well, what's it you're looking for? And he said, the bloke I'm looking for, he said, he's got to be good with his distribution with his feet. So he said, he said, that's a given. He's got to be able to do that. It was his distribution with his feet that he was wanted. And it turned out, he got when he signed this bloke, apparently this guy plays, I think it was for Sierra Leone. And he had a falling out with the manager there because they'd had a manager come in, a new guy. And he said to the goalkeeper, so in future, when you get the ball, he said, I want you to kick it downfield. Not, And he said, I ain't the way I play. He refused to do that. And he ended up getting dropped. And then the manager got the sack and he then got back in and he carried on. I mean, that's...
I'm not sure whether it was Sierra Leone. I thought he played for Cameroon. I'm not sure.
No, it might. Well, look, I knew it was that way, but anyway. But the point is,
when he signed, and as you rightly say, that he wanted a goalkeeper who could play, similar to the boy Edison at who's fantastic with his feet, as is Pickford. Pickford's very good off the floor, apart from the goal he gave away. against Chelsea, but he's usually pretty good off the floor. The Liverpool goalkeeper, very good around his feet. Ederson, I think Ederson's the top man with the ball around his feet at Man City. But this goalkeeper always takes chances when the ball's around his feet.
Yeah.
And the last thing you want when you're trying to build a football club, and especially one as big as Man United, is a keeper who takes too many chances.
Yeah.
His first job is to stop the ball going in the net. And he's had enough problems trying to stop that, let alone work on his feet. My friend who works for Feyenoord and another one who works for PSV said when he signed, I tell you what, you wait until you see the mistakes he makes. And sure enough, he's been making mistakes. To be able to let the then Spanish number one keeper go, who also was vulnerable to certain incidents. But both, again, when you watch him, he's 6'4", and every shot he makes the save look twice as hard as he does, or should do. And that worries me a bit. I really hope Coventry knock them off on Sunday. I really do.
Great to speak with you again, Brian. It's always a pleasure to have you on and join us and share your history and insights into today's game. We wish you and yours all the best and look forward to hearing from you again in the not too distant future.
Well, thank you very much for having me on the programme again. And thank you, Dave, Stan and Jeff and yourself.
Yeah, cheers,
Myles.
Bright.
Once again, happy birthday. 77 Sunset Strip.
77 not out. That'd have done me at Lord's, I tell you. Okay, thanks, gentlemen. And by the way, I won't give you a prediction for Saturday.
Oh, that was my next thing.
Okay. I'll be very happy with a point. I'll be happy with a draw up there. I thought we played well up there last year. The second half, I don't know what happened after the first 45 minutes, but we were very poor in the second half. It'd be a big crowd, good atmosphere. So I'm going to go for 1-1. I'd love to say 2-1, 3-1, but I'm going to go for 1-1 and look forward to the last home game of the season against Plymouth.
Hopefully that will work out. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you, Myles. Thank you, James.
Yeah, cheers, Brian.
Good night. Good night.
Thanks, Brian.
Thank you.
We'll take a break there and hear from Bethany Mangtelo talking about how you can sponsor the Millwall Community Trust.
The Millwall Community Trust, something that I, Bethany Mangtelo, admire for all that it does. The Trust was established in 1985, works to provide sporting, education, social and healthy lifestyle opportunities to the local community in Southwark, Lewisham, North Kent and the wider community. Its work is targeted at people of all ages, irrespective of race, gender or sexual orientation, and runs programmes aimed at tackling social exclusion, racism, knife crime, lack of employment opportunities for young people, mental health and disability issues. The Trust aims to be a progressive and campaigning charity that makes a difference to ordinary people's lives. Its work is undeniably essential to the local community. They have sponsorship opportunities to support this work. Email commercial@millwallcommunity.org.uk. I'll say that again. That is email commercial@millwallcommunity.org.uk. Please help if you can.
I'm your host, Myles Thornton, and with me are the NOLUT's talking team with Jeff Burnige, Dave Hart and Stan Godwin. Millwall Community Trust do amazing work within the London boroughs of Lewisham and Southwark, Sevenoaks and beyond too. So, if you can support them, it will go a very long way in helping you out, you and your club's communities. Let's hear from Ellis Barr now. Keep us updated, Ellis.
Hello, Ellis here, and I'm glad to be back talking about Millwall. I know many have watched my videos, so you will all know that I don't wear splints as much anymore. Thanks for your support along the way. It is now time to hear what all the Millwall teams are up to. Come on, Millwall!
Paul Loding, General Manager of Millwall Romans and Pride, gave us this report.
Hi, it's Paul Loding at the Millwall Romans, just with a quick update for the week. Firstly, what a great week it was for Millwall last week, picking up points. That's great. So we're cheering them on. We can't go down this year at all. So great results for them. In terms of the Romans, we were on a rest this last weekend. This weekend for both teams, so Romans playing on the Saturday and on the Sunday. This weekend, though, is the big semi-final with the GFSN at Charlton. We're kicking off at 11:30 at Charlton, Greenwich University, in southeast London. 11:30 kick-off. Big game for us. Although Charlton have dropped points in the league, which is great news for us. Again, last week they lost, so they've lost out in 2 games in the last 2 weeks. So we're looking confident and positive, but we know it's going to be a very, very tough game. We're kicking off Romans 3:30 Sunday afternoon due to the marathon outside St Paul's Sports Ground against Stonewall Unity.
Thanks for that.
Well, I think most people now know that we won that cup. It was the PDL Under-18 Cup Final. That's the same age group as had that fantastic run in the FA Youth Cup, which finished up with a very unfortunate 4-3 defeat to Leeds United at Ellen Road in front of a very, very big crowd for a youth team game, well into 5 figures, I think. So having lost that one, it was very important that the boys could bring home the bacon this time. Nice cup to win. Last year we won the under-21 version of that, and we look like being in the final of that again. But going back to Wednesday, the quality of the goals, they're tough games. You have to battle for supremacy. You have to battle away at the back, block shots. You have to battle away to get control in midfield. But ultimately, if you've got quality to take chances, that is the difference. And we scored 3 great goals. The first one put us 1-0 up. It was Frankie Mack. That's Frankie Makocha, I think his proper name is. A 25-yard blaster, similar to Ryan Longman's, a little bit straighter. We then conceded a goal. Or did we? I think we went 1 down, to be fair. But those 2 goals came quite close. It ended up 1-1 at 90 minutes. But by the end of the 90 minutes, it was obvious which team had the desire to win. A lot of Swansea players were going down with cramp. They made all their substitutions. We didn't. Extra time was pretty much one-way traffic, and Cavalli Hayward got 2 cracking goals. The first one, he picked it up and he beat the entire defence on his own and then slotted a great shot into the bottom corner. At 2-1, we didn't look like losing the game, but just to make sure, right at the very end, they tried to play offside. Another Millwall player would have been, but Cavalli saw the opportunity, marched onto the ball and cracked it home from a narrow angle to spark joyous celebrations. Any Millwall fans listening to this podcast that haven't got in the habit of watching our academy teams when they get to these finals and semi-finals, they're missing something. That was a fantastic night at the Den, and it was a great night to be a Millwall fan. I went home as happy as a sandboy.
Yeah, the academy keeps producing these great nights under the lights at the Den, don't they? You think of Chelsea last night. Right, so we head to the North East this weekend and we take on Sunderland at the Stadium of Light. Jeff, can I get a prediction?
Kingy's got a good instinct, usually. We're in a great position now. I'd just be happy if we're in no worse a position at the end of the weekend than we are going into it. If you want a prediction, I'm going to go for a 0-0 draw.
Okay, Stan?
Well, I mean, if we come away with a point, I'll be happy. I'll be even happier if we come away with 3 points, which I think we're capable of doing, provided we put in the same sort of commitment and performance that we did in the second half against on Saturday, Cardiff, and then the way we played against Leicester on the previous home game. Now, if we carry on like that, playing like that, with that commitment and battling spirit and all the rest of the stuff, right, then we ain't going to go far wrong, in my view. So, no, as I say, I'll settle for a point, but I think we're capable of going up there and winning the game. But we must dictate events.
Yeah. And how about you, Dave?
Yeah, the Stadium of Light is one of these places where they've got a massive following. and the atmosphere there is always at the top level. So it's going to be a hard trip. But as we've all said, all of us have said earlier, a point should be enough for us. With only 3 games to go, and it should be. We could capably do a draw. But as Stan said, we've always got that feeling that we could actually nick a result. So I would definitely be happy with a draw. But if I had to really put a score that I would love to see, is Millwall 2-1 win.
Yep, fantastic. Just to more or less reiterate what everybody else has said, I'd be very happy with a draw. Obviously, Stadium Light's quite a hard place to go, to be honest. Obviously, they haven't been great this season themselves, but they're nowhere near relegation like us. We're sort of moving away from that now anyway. But yeah, I'd be very happy with a draw. So if I'm going to go 1-1. I'm going to go 1-1.
Before we head into a break, let's hear from Phil Coleman and his boot room.
Hello everyone. Here's another session from my memories and tales of the boot room. So in the summer of 1978, a new crop of young players joined us older ones. We were under 18. But the new lads in were Paul Roberts, Tony Kinsella, Kevin O'Callaghan, Dean Horrocks and Tony Dark. That left just Dave Martin and Paul Roberts, who were even younger, to join up to the youth team. And a youth team that won the FA Youth Cup, as most of you know, in May 1979 for the first time in the club's history. When we walked in the door, it was quite common for nicknames to be created, and to be honest with you, some of those nicknames last to this day. We had Peter Glazer, the goalkeeper. He was called The Block, for obvious reasons. Dave Martin, Jailhouse. Yeah, he was mad. He was absolutely crazy back in the day. What a great player, but Jailhouse, because that's where we thought he might end up. Jock, Alan McKenna, came down from Scotland, obvious reasons again. Ian Gow was nicknamed the Grout. Back in them days, the PFA, our union, recommended that we went off and did training on a Thursday. So Ian Gow went off and did some tiling, and he didn't last. He lasted one session, but we nicknamed him the Grout. And then there was me. I was nicknamed, you'd never guess, Franz. We were over Senegal Fields training one day. Very uncommon for me to be anywhere near the opposing goal, but I ended up taking a corner and I bent it in. And so a few of the lads nicknamed me Franz after Franz Beckenbauer, the defender who could play. Trust me, I couldn't play. That youth team had absolutely everything. It had big characters, and it also had somebody whose nickname I not mentioned, and that nickname was Mem, Dave Memmett, who sadly passed away last week. I grew up with Mem. We played together for Blackheath District. We played together for London as a county. He was there as a 14 and 15-year-old when we were coming through the schoolboys. Mem was there when I signed apprentice. We signed at the same time. We were in the youth team together. We were in the reserves together. We were in the first team together, although he made his debut way before me. He was there playing on my debut against West Ham. We beat him 2-1, and I think Mem scored on that day. We were both sold in the 80s, and we both returned in 86, and we had 2 more years together. So in all my time at the Den, Mem was always there. Mem was a local lad from the Peeps estate, just over the railway lines, under the bridges, and he made it pro. He worked damned hard for it, Mem. Crofton Park with Billy Neal, and his talent shone through. I think he made his debut when he was 17. He scored. He's the youngest scorer for the club. He's still the only youth team player, teenager, that's made 100 appearances. And we won the FA Youth Cup together. And coming back together and playing 300 games, Mem was loved. If you ever watched him play, he could juggle tennis balls for fun. You know, he'd find space in the telephone box. He had a range of passing with both feet. He could pass with both feet. He could chip the ball, cross the ball. He was fearless. And he had a great attitude for the game. He loved the game. And I reckon if you was a young fan, 12, 15, 18 years old, back at the old Den in 77 to 79, 80, you'd have looked at Dave Mem because he was a proper baller. He was what I call a proper player. In that youth team, we had the lot. We had nuggets like me that could defend. We had great attitude, desire, grit, nasty. We could hand it out if we wanted it. We had some strong players, Alan McKenna, quick, Kevin O'Callaghan, ability, Tony Kinsella, Ian Gow. We had finishers, Chrissy Dibble, Alan McKenna, Dean Horrocks. We could all defend. We had great goalkeeper, in Peter Glazier. It was fun times. It was demanding. The coaches demanded of us. We put the running in, and we had some massive leaders. Mem was a leader. Paul Roberts was a leader. But the one thing Mem had over all of us, he had skill. It oozed out of him. But he had football brain. He had a football intelligence. Mem could find space. He bossed games. Paul Roberts tells the story of Steve McMahon at Everton and Kevin Ratcliffe. How, Steve McMahon thought he could boss every game, but, and I quote, the gingerhead lad at Millwall bossed you. And Mem could do that. And it's a great nickname. Very simple, but what a memory. Great times. So rest in peace, Mem. And we'll never forget everything you did around us, for us. Thanks, mate. Bye for now.
Thanks for that, Phil. We'll take a break there and hear about the Lions Food Hub.
Hi, Harvey Brown here. I am proud of the Lions Food Hub, which is jointly owned by Kelly and Ellen Webster, and they have been supporting families within our community for over 2 years on Millwall match days. If you would like to donate to them, they have a match day donation hub by the SE16 bar at Coldblow Lane, end of the ground, where they accept any food or money and toiletry donations. If you can help, any donations will be received with thanks.
I'm your host, Myles Thornton, and with me I have the NOLUT talking team with Jeff Burnige, Dave Hart and Stan Godwin. The Lions Food Hub are always on the lookout for donations, especially on Saturday match days. Our next guest is a Millwall fan who travels from across Europe to come and support us, Italy to be precise. Welcome to the show, Gianluca Sardi. Gianluca, before I hand you over to the panel, your work-life football following balance is immense. You work between Pescara in Italy and London to follow Millwall. How many miles do you travel each season to follow us, and how difficult has it been to get here and do that?
Good evening, everyone. It's always a great pleasure and a wonderful privilege for me to be here. Thanks, Myles. Thanks, Jeff, Stan, Imon, and every one of you. It's absolutely marvelous to be here. You know that traveling between Italy and England to attend all the games of Millwall and all the home games of Teramo in Italy is far from being easy, but it's a marvelous adventure, because you know that any trip, any games gives you the possibility not only to attend the game in itself, but also to meet wonderful people, chat with friends, having lunch or dinner with fellow fans, and that's absolutely amazing. Each season I travel more than 100,000 kilometers in order to attend all the aforementioned games. Some seasons also 135,000 kilometers, depending if we progress in the League Cup or in the FA Cup, and obviously if Teramo progresses in the national cups in Italy. So it's always marvelous, and this season I expect to reach 130,000 kilometers come the end of the season, and it has not been very easy to get here, but with some hard work, with a lot of passion and interest in the games and in all the other aspects connected to the game, you can reach these milestones, and it has been absolutely amazing.
Fantastic to hear.
Obviously a great effort, Gianluca, but this season has been a challenge for all fans as well as the players. How would you sum it up, and do you believe we will definitely be playing in the Championship next season?
Yeah, I totally agree with you. This season has been a real challenge since the summer, since the start of the season, and we lost our beloved chairman John, and it was dramatic on and off the pitch, but to sum it up, I would say that especially thanks to Neil's return in February, it has been a good season in my humble opinion, because with all the things that happened in SC16 since July 2023, we seriously risked getting dropped. We are not safe yet, in my opinion. We still need a couple of points, but I think that being able to recover after the home defeat against Sheffield Wednesday, when many people thought that we would be relegated come May. And I think Neil did an amazing job, an absolutely amazing job. And we were able to beat top teams such as Southampton away and Leicester City at the Den. And it's far from being easy to get the 3 points against these Premier League teams, I dare to say. And so after all the things that happened, I think it's a very positive season, I believe we will be playing in the Championship in the coming season, but we have to remain very, very concentrated in these last 3 games, starting from Sunderland on Saturday, because I really think that we still need a couple of points, maybe 3 points, in order before starting celebrations. So let's remain concentrated and let's go to Sunderland in order to get the 3 points. And but I'm very optimistic, and I'm sure that we will be still a Championship team in 2024-2025.
Hi, Gianluca. Question from me, Dave. I'm going to put you on the spot now. What is your most memorable game at the Den in the 30 years that we've been playing in SE16?
There have been so many memorable games in our beloved Den during these 30 years. Probably I would rate the Norwich game in December 2023 as my favorite one. We won it 1-0, and we absolutely needed a night like that at the Den. We had beaten QPR on Boxing Day 3 days earlier, if I remember well, and the atmosphere at the Norwich game, that night game against a top team like the Canaries, was absolutely amazing, and the performance of our lads was unbelievable, was absolutely unbelievable, and I really loved everything about that night.
Yeah, one of my favourites for sure is the playoff second leg in 2010 against Huddersfield under the floodlights at Millwall, following on from the 0-0 in the first leg, and we won 2-0. What a fantastic night that was, and what a fantastic game.
Gianluca, the team, I can't recall their name, that you follow in Italy were in trouble last season. How did that turn out, and how have they got on this season?
Thanks for your question, Stan. It's always a pleasure for me to talk about my beloved Teramo, which is my hometown club in Italy. We were in a lot of trouble in the summer of 2022, and we were forced to restart from the 6th tier. We were in the 3rd tier at that time, and we were forced to restart from 3 divisions below. And last year we won the 6th tier, and this year we are top of the league in the 5th tier with just 2 games remaining, and we have a 6-point margin on the second team in the table, which is Giulianova, our legendary rivals from the coast. And so if we get just 1 single point in the next 2 and the final games of the league season, we will get promoted to the 4th tier. So we have a very, very huge home game this Sunday. We play against Capistrello, which is a team who is struggling in order to avoid relegation. So if we get at least 1 point, we will be promoted. The crowd is expected to be unbelievable this Sunday. Maybe there could be 10,000 people, and if you think that Teramo has just slightly more than 50,000 residents, that means a lot, definitely. So fingers crossed.
Well, yeah, I certainly hope so, Gianluca. Your team's definitely gone through the ringer, absolutely no doubt about that, and I wish them well for the future, mate.
Gianluca, Sunderland on Saturday, you go in, and can you give us a prediction for our visit?
Yeah, we'll be going there. I will be in Sunderland, and hopefully we will be getting a good result against the Black Cats. It's always a good atmosphere there, a lot of noise. I really like that ground. About the result of the game, I think it will finish 1-1, so we will be getting 1 point.
Well, that seems to be a theme across the show tonight. Thank you for coming on, and we look forward to hearing from you once again. Bye for now.
Bye, and huge hugs back to you.
We're all looking forward to the next game, but in the meantime, here are a few matters of interest for Millwall fans and those interested in football.
Millwall Football Club's 2023-24 end of season awards night will now take place at the Den on Tuesday, the 30th of April, from 6 p.m. until late. With a host of trophies up for grabs, the night will see the first team squad and coaching staff in attendance, as a drinks reception is followed by a 3-course meal, the awards presentation, and much, much more. TV's Mark Clement will host the night with live entertainment on offer by way of a pianist and a band, though throughout, as winners of categories such as Player of the Season and Goal of the Season are announced. A table of 8 people with 2 players is priced at £900 plus VAT. That makes £1,080. If you have a group smaller than 8, please get in touch with the club and they will accommodate you as best as possible. Individual tickets are priced at £100 plus VAT. That's £120 all in. That's without a player on your table, and they are allocated on a first-come, first-served basis. If you're interested in going, and it's a great night, contact the commercial team via the telephone on 020-7740-0501, 020-7740-0501, or by email at commercialsales@millwallfc.co.uk. Also, Millwall Lionesses are back in action on Tuesday the 23rd, this coming Tuesday, when they face Enfield Town in a 7:30 kickoff at St Paul's Sports Ground, Rotherhithe. Why not arrange to get along and give the Lionesses the support they deserve on what is quite an unusual opportunity to see them play in a midweek game?
Millwall head to Swansea City on the final day of the Sky Bet Championship. That's Saturday the 4th of May, kick-off at 12:30pm. Tickets are on sale to season ticket holders. Tickets will go on sale to members from 9:30am on Monday, the 22nd of April. Tickets are priced at £29 for adults, £19 for over 65s, £19 if you're in the armed forces, £19 if you're a full-time student, but you will need ID to gain entry, £19 for under 21s, £13 for under 18s, and £10 for under 12s. Wheelchair ambulance supporters need to call 020 7740 3470. I'll repeat that, 020 7740 3470 to book tickets between the hours of 9:30am to 5pm and 9:30 to 4pm on Fridays. Under 14 tickets need to be purchased with an adult or senior ticket holder. Tickets will go off sale at 2pm on Friday the 3rd of May. Any tickets selected for collection will need to be collected by this time from the den. After 2pm, they will be sent to the away club ticket office for collection on the day of the game. We have an allocation of 1,148 tickets.
Our Millwall Fan show will be back next Friday with Myles hosting, Gary, Ted and Jeff, with former Lions youngster Harvey Bradbury and a second guest too.
Don't forget you'll be able to listen to the No One Likes Us talking team and reports from our games, both home and away, for the Lions, Lionesses, Romans and Pride, and also updates on Millwall Community Matters too, broadcasting on 96.5 FM. Additionally, you can find us on Instagram, Facebook and X, formerly Twitter, YouTube, Tumblr, Instagram and all popular podcast sites. Cheers, Jeff.
Cheers, Mark. Thank you.
Yeah, cheers. Cheers,
Stamp.
Good night, everybody. Thanks, Myles.
And thank you all for listening. Finally, let's not forget to keep it safe on the streets out there. Good night.
Our Millwall Fan Show is sponsored by G&M Motors of Gravesend, Honda dealers and much more.